Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to, well, an interesting one, as part of me is kind of on the fence with this one, which is for Catpeople from 1982, starring Malcolm McDowell, Natasha Kinski, John Hurd, and an enduring crush of mine, Annette O'Toole. The synopsis for this one being as follows. A woman who is orphaned from a young age finally reunites with her older brother. Matters start to go awry when she slowly discovers the true nature of her family. Spoiler alert, they are cat people, and things get a bit incestuous and in general just pretty weird throughout this one. But the best thing I can say about this film is that I find it to be really gorgeous but frustrating at the same time. But first, let's talk about the gorgeous. This is gorgeously shot with a great score and soundtrack. We also have these really cool dream sequences which make things look very surreal here and there. But not only is this color palette really amazing, but the entire setting, New Orleans. And not just the most touristy parts that you see in every film out there. We get a zoo, a park, some side roads, and it all looks great and really reinforces the fact that one of these days I really need to get around to finally visiting New Orleans, since I've been wanting to do it since the 90s, and it's only about a 10-hour drive away. But anyways, touching again on that soundtrack, we get the that Catpeople song, the Putting Out the Fire with Gasoline by David Bowie, frequently featured not just from his performance of it within the film, but also being worked into Giorgio Moroder's score throughout this film. And of course, there's the gorgeousness of these sexy beasts, Malcolm McDowell, Natasha Kinski, and Annette O'Toole to throw in. But anyways, it's the frustrating part that really sticks out for me on this one. Is that, well, the story is indeed very interesting. The mystery of these siblings reuniting, what their history is, their reconnection in general, exactly what they meant to each other after all these years being separated. As well as stuff happening with an investigation into a situation where there was a prostitute who was killed by like a loose Black Panther, and the zoo kind of looking into things, helping with this investigation. This is where John Hurd and Annette O'Toole come into it. Slowly information is coming about, slowly, dreamlike, long montages and such. And as interesting as this mystery is, and as gorgeous as it's shot, scored, and laid out, it is slow. It really has some points which I feel drag. Now, I'd watched this one sometime in 2022. I'd had my first migraine, not headache, but real migraine in years. And it took hours in the dark, feet raised, 3 Excedrin migraine, 4 ibuprofen after chugging a Diet Coke. I don't know why the Diet Coke helps, but it does. For it to finally go away. And when I recovered, I decided just to sit back and relax the rest of the night, and I put this film on. I think I maybe had seen it a long time ago in the 80s. Now, I was a bit exhausted, from recovering from this migraine, and I felt that maybe since this film was slow, maybe, I just kind of chalked it up to the exhaustion from the migraine. Maybe I was just a little too wiped out to really stay fully engaged. So years later, and of course, another little plug here for Viper Video, I saw it for about $12 on a Blu-ray at Viper Video, so I scooped it up to give it another watch, since I remember liking it outside of those slow spots. And well, first off, there definitely is a difference watching this one on Blu-ray versus streaming. Blu-ray being upscaled to 4K on a 70-inch screen with Dolby Digital Surround, much more vibrant all around. Was definitely a great presentation, but was still very slow in some spots. It still has those spots. I don't know if it's because the vibrant sections or segments, both in the image and the sound in this film, stand out so much that some of those in-between shots feel a bit muted by comparison, or if just in general the pacing of this one really fluctuates a lot and has those downtimes. Some movies are just like that, I guess. But in general, I still really do enjoy this one. It's still very good. The mystery of, I guess you could call them werecats of sorts, but driven more by sex rather than anything else, meaning sex is what kicks off that transformation, leading to a hunt of sorts that's going to be needed to reverse it, was a really interesting thing to do. Cool stuff, sexy stuff, and some gross effects here and there. It was definitely interesting what they were able to put together for it. Also, the relationship between Kinski's character and Hurd's is understandably complicated, as well as her relationship with McDowell's character, her brother, which is where these incestuous mentions come from. So they really do have some interesting stuff happening in the story as they're investigating her history, her brother's history, stuff happening with this loose cat that had killed a prostitute, and how these people at the zoo are involved, kind of helping in this investigation. Because that investigation, it's at large cat attack, and how the characters at this zoo are associated with the other characters, there's a really good bit of storyline working throughout this that's worth paying attention to. It's just we have these slow spots, which definitely bring the energy down, causing it to drag here and there. But I will say this, even with those slow spots, the gorgeous visuals and sound, the really interesting and strange kind of story, all these surreal shots and weird dream sequences, and some really good performances still, despite any of that slowness, make it more than worth checking out. And speaking of checking out, thanks for checking out this latest quick video here for Cat People from 1982, which at the time of this video is on paid rental. Also, this happens to be a remake of a film from 1942 of the same name, so I may have to check that one out to see what kind of differences we get with a 40-year gap in when these films came out between them. Now, as with most of my videos, and especially with this one, due to those slow spots, your results may vary with this one, so maybe wait until it pops back up onto a service that you already have access to rather than paying for the rental, just in case. Also, if you've seen this, what are your thoughts? Are they similar when speaking about that slowness, or was this film able to pull you in and keep you there the entire ride? Just kind of curious. So sound off in the comments. And before we sign off, tell me if you are a YouTube content creator, have you noticed a downturn in your views since the homepage had changed to have those really ultra large thumbnails where we only fit about 6 videos on the screen at a time? Mine have really tanked, and not only that, but as a viewer, I've been missing out on a lot of content from creators that I follow. So it seems to me that this new layout just kind of sucks. I don't know. I'm just curious. Anyway, so sound off in the comments on those. Anyways, that's all I've got for this one. Thanks for coming by and sticking around to the end. If you enjoyed, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if not already subscribed, consider subscribing. And I will see you in the next one.